we're ready. So once again, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to those who are here at Temple with Abraham and those who are watching out on YouTube. An early thank you to our fabulous volunteer, Josh Millman, who set up this entire stream and is monitoring it today, thankfully. So we're going to do a very brief warm-up to the service, Pesukei de Zimra. We're going to start on page 73, and I ask you to please rise for these morning blessings. Baruch atah l'chalam asher natan l'safim ben alafim ben yom u'ben layla. Baruch atah l'chalam she'asani b'tzalmo. Baruch atah l'chalam she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah l'chalam she'asani ben chorim. Baruch atah l'chalam kokech ivrim. Baruch atah l'chalam avish aramim. Baruch atah l'chalam atir asurim. Baruch atah l'chalam zokef kefufim. Baruch atah l'chalam oka'at alamayim. Baruch atah l'chalam she'asali kol tzarki. Baruch atah l'chalam amikim tzari gaber. Baruch atah l'chalam oteshu b'gvura. Baruch atah l'chalam oteshu b'tifara. Baruch atah l'chalam adertenef go'am. May be seated. We jump all the way to page 134. Not only do we have a double bar bat mitzvah today, a b'nai mitzvah, but we have 3 Torahs today because it's Rosh Chodesh, a new month, and it's Hanukkah, so we're skipping a whole bunch of things. Page 134, Psalm 150. Hallelujah, 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 el bekodsho. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'kiyam uzo. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'gurotav. Hallelujah, hallelujah, kerov kudo. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'teka shofar. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'never v'chinor. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'tov u'machor. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'mini v'ugav. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'tziltzalei shoma. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'tziltzalei teruah. Kol hanshama tehallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, kol hanshama tehallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Page 143. And that concludes the skipping around part. Nishmat kol chai tevarech et shimcha. Yitmelach u'miyishvelach u'miyarov lach El hagadol born el elyon pnei shamayim ba'aretz Nalecha v'nishbecha chanefrecha nefrechet shem kodshecha ka'amur V'navi parchina shiat Adonai b'chok rabbai et shem kodsho V'ayom etzavtu moruzecha hagadol b'kvod shemecha Hagibor lenetzach l'rotecha Habecha yoshev al kisei Rabbeinu On page 149 for what's called the Shacharit service, which means morning or dawn, and this is the obligatory prayers of the day that are done not just on Shabbat morning, but every morning, themes of creation, revelation, and redemption. Shochenai marom v'kadosh shemo V'katu v'ranut tzadikim baronai l'sharim navat tehila V'fi yesharim titlalal V'divrei tzadikim titbarach Uvishon chasidim tidromam, uvkerev keroshim tidgadash, umakalot v'vevot amcha beit Yisrael. V'nikbar shulchan makenu b'chol dor v'dor, שכן חובת כל ישראל לפניך מאלוהינו ולאלוהי אבותינו, להודות להלל לשבח, לבאר לרומם להדר, לברך ולאכול כל לעשות כל דברי שירות ותשבחות, דוד בן ישי עבדך, משיחך, ישתבח שמך לעד לאבותינו, שירוש וחלל וזמרה, עוז וממשלה, נצח גדולה ופרח ואף תפארת קדושה ומלכות, מרחוק והודאות מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, המלך גדול משפחות, אל הודות אדון הנפלאות, אבקר בשירי זמרה, מלכי העולמים. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועמד יברח חירותי ועמלך מלכותי, וחייכון וביומכון, ולכל בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב ימרו. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם מעלמיה, יתברך תשתבח יקרב רבי נשא, תתדר ותעלה ותעלה שמי קודשה, לעולם יקום ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, תמירת בעלמה וימרו. Amen. Please rise ever so briefly for the call to prayer, Baruch Hu, page 152. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamin Torah. Be seated. Baruch Adonai Halam. Yotzor Brechoshem, Oseh Shalom, Uvaret Hakol. Hakol Yoducha, Hakol Yeshamchucha, Hakol Yomru Ein Kadosh Adonai. We're not actually opening the ark, but we're making sure that when it's come time to open it, it's openable. Forgot about that today. אין קרקך ואין זולתך, אפס פלטך ומתוכנך. אין קרקך ואין זולתך, אפס פלטך ומתוכנך. אין קרקך אדוני אלוהינו בעולם הזה, ואין זולתך מלכי העולם הבא. אפס פלטך בעלינו ללמוד המשיח. Yondro melech HaMoshiach letzchiat HaMeitin. On 155. Elah Adonai kol ha'ma'asim, Baruch hu Borach befi kol neshama, Kol betuvo ha'le'olam, Da'at u'tuna so'bevimoto, Hamikael al chayot ha'kodesh v'nedor v'chavod al ha'merkava, Zechut u'mishor לפני חיצון, חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו, חובים מאורות שברא אלוהינו יצרם בדעת במינה ובשכל, כוח וגבורה נתן בהם, להיות מושלים בקרב תבל, מלאים זיו ומפיקים נוגה, נעזיבם בכל העולם, שמחים בצאתם וששים בבואם, עושים בהם הרצון קונם, פאר וכבוד נותנים לשמו, צהלה ורינה לזכר מלכותו, קרא השמש ויזרח אור, ראה והתקין צורת הלבנה, שבח נותנים לו, כל צבא מרום, תפארת וגדולה, צרפים ואופנים וחיות הקודש. Shabbat בכל מעשים. 157, doing a couple of those tunes that I thought the members of Beth Israel might know. So welcome to the many members of Beth Israel who are with us this morning. Shino Shema Seyatecha, Vamer Shashasita Yefaru Hasela, Tiparat Surenu Malkenu Vegoa Lenu Borei Kiroshim, Yishtabach Shimcha Le'ad Malkenu. 159. וכולם פותחים את פיהם בקדושת טהרה, בשירה ובזמרה, מברכים ומשבחים ותפארים ומעריצים ומקישים וממליכים את שם האל המלך הגדול הדבר הנורא קדוש הוא. וכולם מקבלים עליהם מלכות שלהם זה מזה, נותנים רשות זה לזה, להקדיש את עצמם בנחת רוח, בספרה ורע ובנעימה, קדושה כולם כאחד עונים ואומרים ביראה. קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלך הארץ כבודו. ובנים בקודש ברש גדול מן הסגנים והצרפים, אם אתם משבחים ואומרים, ברוך כבוד אדוני, ברוך לימות ייתנו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו, מהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר באורו. Page 163. Avarabhavtanu Adonai Eloheinu Chemla Gedola Vitera Chamaltam Aleinu Avinu Malkeinu V'avur Avotenu Shebatu Becha Shebatu Becha Avinu Malkeinu Atilamdim Chukei Chaim Kintehonenu lamdenu avinu avarachaman amrachem rachem aleinu v'tei v'lepeinu lehavin u'haskil lishmoa lillemod u'lilamed lishmor v'lasot u'kayem et kol divrei Talmud Toratecha ve'ahava V'ha'er b'neinu v'toratecha v'tabek b'neinu v'mitzvotecha v'yached l'mameinu le'ahava v'lira et shemecha v'lo nevosh le'olam va'ed v'lo nevosh le'olam va'ed Nagila v'nismecha v'yeshuatecha v'havienu l'shalom me'arba kanfot ha'aretz v'tolichenu kol mimi'u le'artzenu ki el po'el Yeshua ata uvanu v'acharta mikolam v'lashon וקרבנו לשמך הגדול סלע באמת להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levavecha, v'chol nafshecha, v'chol me'odecha, ve'hayu advarim ha'ele, asher anuchi metzavecha, ayom alevavecha, Vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'ham V'shittecha v'beitecha u'v'leklecha b'derech u'v'shoklecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'od al yadecha v'ayu l'totachot v'neinecha u'tavtam al mizuzot beitecha u'v'yisharecha v'yam. Continuing on our own, 167 through 169. Laman tiskiru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitem keroshim lechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeitem eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem emet Adonai Elohechem emet Vador vador kayam ushmo kayam b'chisor nachon malchuto v'emanato liat kayam et v'alav chayim v'kayamim Shatahor Nailin of Levotinu, Malkinu Malakavotinu, Golinu Goelavotinu, Yortinu to Yeshuatinu, Primatim Elam Shemecha, in Elohim to Latecha, Etzma, Davotinu, Atahu Be'olam. I'm on page 173, Michamocha, the first line of which is an acronym, the first letter of the first four words that spells Maccabee, Hanukkah. Baruchum Vorah, Moshe ben Israel Chanashira, B'simcha Rabah, Ve'amru Kulam. Michamocha, Ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha, Nedar Kodesh, Nora Tehilot, Osef Felech, Shira Chadasha, Shichu Gedulim, Leshimcha Al Sfat Hayam, Yachad Kulam Hodu Ve'im Lichu, Ve'ameru, Adonai Yimlo, Leolam Vahed. Tzur Yisrael, Kuma Be'ezrat Yisrael, Uvdehinu Mecha, Yehuda Be'Yisrael, Go Aleinu Adonai Tivahot Shemo, Yedokush Yisrael, Baruch Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Today, because of the length of the service, we're going to begin the Amidah out loud together, page 175. Adonai Sifatai Tiftachu V'yagid Tehilatecha Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Bekonei Hakol, Bezocher Chastei Avot, Umevi Goel Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Rozer Moshiach Umani, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ufogei Sarah, Atah Yikor Le'olam Adonai, B'chayim Eitim Atah Ram Le'Hoshiach, Mashiva Ruach Umarin HaGashem Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed Mechayim Eitim Berachamim Rabim Zomed Nothim Berofeh Olim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamo Kabal Yurot Umido Melach Melech Memin Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua Le'emarat Al-Chayot Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayeh Ametim Yekadesh Shem Kabbalam Keshem Shemakdishim Otovish Bemarom Kakatu Bayat Neviyecha Vekara Zehel Zeh Ve'amar Kadosh 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 Adonai Tzivahot Melocho Haaretz Kevodo Az Bekorash Gadol and v'chazak mashmin kol minasim levat serafim levatam baruch yom Hebrew baruch Adonai bimkom bimkom malkeinu tzofia v'timloch aleinu ki mechakim anachnu lach matai timloch mitzion v'karorov b'yameinu le'alam va'ed tishkon Tikadal v'tikadash v'tov Yerushalayim ircha L'dor v'ador L'netzach netzachim Ve'eineinu tirena Malchutecha Kadavar Amur B'shirei Uzecha Yedei Dorin B'shir Tzidkecha Yilom Ha'le'olam Elohai Yitzion L'dor v'ador Hallelujah L'dor nagid God lecha V'lenetzach netzachim Kedushat Hanavdi Chaleinu Gileinu Selam Va'ed K'malkeinu v'kadosh Ata Baruch Ata Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue silently 181 through 192, but pay attention to the little notes found in bold italics because there are separate prayers you skip to for Hanukkah and Rosh Chodesh today during the private Amidah. If you can't find it, don't worry about it. It's also a great time for silent prayer and meditation. הניסים ועל הפורקן ועל הגבורות והתשובות ועל המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. Going down, we remain standing, or if you sat down, stand back up, because today on Hanukkah we do the Hallel on page 277. Those are celebratory psalms of praise that we do on Hanukkah, also on Rosh Chodesh. It's both of these things today. But we do the full Hallel, not the what they call the half Hallel, because it says this part is not done on Rosh Chodesh, but it is done on Hanukkah, and the Hanukkah in this case takes precedence. 277. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu likro et ha'Hallel. Hallelujah. Hallelu avdei Adonai, Hallelu et Shem Adonai, Yehi Shem Adonai mevorach, me'ata ve'ad olam. ממזרח שמש עד מבואו, מעולה שם אדוני, רמת כל גויים אדוני, על השמיים כבודו. מקרני אלוהינו, המביא לשבת, המשפילי לראות, בשמיים ובארץ. מקימי מאחר דם, מאשרוק ירים אביון, להושיבי עם נדיבי עמו. מושיבי הקרב הבאי, הם הבנים שמחה. הללויה, 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 הללויה. בצאת ישראל ממצרים, בית יעקב מעם לועז, הייתה יהודה לקודשו, ישראל ממשלותיו. הים ראה וינוס, הירדן ייסוג לאחור, הרים רקדו כאלים, גבעות כבני צאן. צאת ישראל ממצרים, בית יעקב מעם לועז. מלך הים כיתנוס, הירדן תיסוג לאחור, ההרים ירקדו כאלים, גבעות כבני צאן. מלפני אדון כולי ארץ, מלפני אלוהי יעקב, ההופכי חצור, הגמיים, חלם איש, לבינו מים. לא בנו ולא בנו כי לשמחתך וחסדך עמיתך. ישראל בטח באדוני עזרם ומגינם הוא, בית אהרון ביטחו באדוני עזרם ומגינם הוא, ירא אדוני ביטחו באדוני עזרם ומגינם הוא. אדוני זכרנו יברך, יברך את בית ישראל, יברך את בית אהרון, יברך ירא אדוני, הקטנים והגדולים. יוסף אדוני עליכם, עליכם ועליכם, ברוכים אתם לאדוני, עושה שמיים בארץ, השמיים שמיים אדוני, והארץ נתן לבני אדם, לא מתים יהללויה, ולא כל יורדי דומה, ואנחנו נברך יה. מעתה ועד עולם, מעתה ועד עולם, הללויה. אהבתי כי ישמע אדוני את פניך. הלך לפני אדוני בארצו החיים, האמנתי כי אדבר אני, עניתי מאוד, אני אמרתי בחופשי, כל האדם כל זה, מה אשיב עליי? נדרב אדוני השלם, נגדנה בכל עמו, בחצרות בית אדוני בתוך ירושלים. הללויה. הללו את אדוני, כל גויים, שבחו, כל העמים, כי גבר עלינו חסדו, באמת אדוני לעולם. הללויה. Adonai ki tov, ki le'olam chasdo, yomar na Yisrael, ki le'olam chasdo, yomru na v'taron, ki le'olam chasdo, yomru na yirei Adonai, ki le'olam chasdo, yomru na yirei Adonai, כי לעולם חסדו. מן המצר קראתיה, ענני במרחביה. מן המצר קראתיה, ענני במרחביה. אדוני אלוהינו. עוזי וזמריה. Adonai v'yer lanu Yisruchad bavotim ad karno hamizbeach. El Adonai v'yer lanu Yisruchad bavotim ad karno hamizbeach. Eli ata ve'odeka, Elohai avromimeka. Eli ata ve'odeka, Elohai avromimeka. Odu l'Adonai ki tov, ki le'olam chasdo. Odu l'Adonai ki tov, ki le'olam chasdo. כי לך טוב להודות ולשמך נאה לזמר, כי מלמד עולם אתה אל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מלך לעולם תשבחו. Back on page 193. גדל ויקרא שמי רבה, ואמר יברח ירתיהם נחמקותיהם וחייתם, ויום אחד וכן לכל בית ישראל, וגלה בזמן קריב ימרו. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם לעולמיה יתברך. יתברך ישתבח ופרח מן הסדי, תודה ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי לקודשה, ולעם יקום בחטא ושירה, חד שפחת ולחמת אדם ירם ויאמר וימרו. ימות סולטן ואותון לכל ישראל, ורמה והוני ושמיים ימרו. ישלום רבים שמיים וכמנו לכל ישראל ימרו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל וימרו. Baruch Tiyeh. And we may be seated. All right, a few announcements. If you were here at the beginning, which was about a fifth of you or so, I'm going to repeat some announcements. First thing is, please make sure your masks are on, covering your mouth and nose at all times. The exception is if you are up here leading alone or with your immediate family members. So when the Sparks family gets up here, they will take off their masks, and I will have off my mask when I am alone. Everyone else, please keep them on at all times. If there's an emergency, exits are all over the place to my right here. The door you came in, out the center aisle, and down the stairs there, and off both wings of the bima. There are bathrooms downstairs. Now, in a moment, we're about to have our B'nai Mitzvah come up, and their parents, Will and Rebecca, are going to say some beautiful words to them. They're going to present them with their talits, and you'll be tempted to take out your phones and take pictures. Please do not. And as counterintuitive as it is, since there's a camera sending this out to YouTube, and welcome all who are streaming today from near and far, please make sure your cameras here are turned off and put away. We don't allow them at all on Shabbat here. And you can, of course, go back and watch this at home after Shabbat if you'd like. But please do not take pictures. Make sure those are turned off and put away. And so, at this time, I'd like to call upon our B'nai Mitzvah, our twins, Zachary and Sophia, along with parents Rebecca and Will. They're going to say a few words and present them with their talits. Talitot.
December 12th, 2020 is when this was originally supposed to have taken place. And friends and family and the TBA community at large are so important to Zachary and Sophia, and it was very important to them to be able to do this in person, which is why almost a year later we were doing that. This is my little buddy boy, my happy little buddy boy, and my little honey bunny. I've watched you go from being a collective little sweet little unit to becoming these great individual, free-thinking people that you are today. And I've watched you embrace your Jewish heritage and identity with a lot of exuberance. But really overriding it is the love and exuberance. You two just love living life, and it is infectious. Maybe we shouldn't use that word, but it has an impact on everyone that you have that has had the pleasure of knowing you. And of course, your mother and I has had a great influence. It's greatly enriched our lives, and I think that moving forward, you are going to be able to take that love of life, that exuberance, and in any direction that you decide to go, you're going to take that with you. And we're going to watch you grow spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, and physically, and you're going to become the great people that we hope to see you become. And I know that you're going to take that love and exuberance out into the community, and you are also going to have the support of your family, your friends, this great community helping you along the way. And of course, you're going to have the undying love and support of your mother and I, and to at least one of us, you are still going to be my buddy and my bunny.
When we made the difficult decision to postpone this event 1 year, I prayed that it was the correct one, knowing that nothing is for certain and anything can happen in 1 year's time. Then, on Sunday night after Hanukkah, my mom was taken to the hospital in an ambulance. Her vitals were critically low. There were a couple of moments when I thought there was a good possibility that this weekend would be looking a lot different. But for the grace of God, modern science, antibiotics, and excellent health care, after 3 days in ICU, she was discharged on Thursday. A Hanukkah miracle, indeed. Zachary will be talking more about miracles later, but we are all in the presence of one today. We love you so much, Mom. Many of you who have come here today would expect me to list the many attributes of Zachary and Sophia and how proud we are of them, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to talk about Zachary's sharp wit, easygoing demeanor, boundless energy, exceptional athletic prowess, or how he can make friends with just about anyone, nor will I discuss Sophia's sweet disposition, incredible music and artistic talent, or her fearless attack on the soccer pitch or ski hill. I won't talk about any of that, because what I want to do is express how incredibly grateful and thankful we are that we can all be here together. This is something I used to take for granted and certainly do not now. I know how much family means to both Zachary and Sophia and how meaningful it is that all of us are here together celebrating this day. Zachary, Sophia, I want you to look around the sanctuary, really look and see how many people are here for you, supporting you, and looking to you as the face of the future. You both, with all those amazing qualities that I touched on, along with the love and support of your family and friends, have the ability to create meaningful lives full of love, kavanah, honor, tikkun olam, repairing the world. This day marks the transition to adulthood. You already have everything you need in those huge hearts and those big brains of yours to make good choices for yourselves, your community, and the world at large. You two are our miracles. And just like what is so often written in those amazing handmade cards you make for the family, we love you so much. We are so blessed to be your parents.
So you're now going to say the blessings over the talit, and then you will put them on, or your parents will put them on you, some combination thereof.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bichanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'nitatev v'atiti.
Amen.
Amen.
So don't go far, and I think you're okay to take off your masks as well right now, all of you. Now they're not the same person. They both learned both Torah service and Musaf and everything that goes with it, but they are going to separate now because indeed they're not the same person. And Zachary is going to lead us in the Torah service. So go ahead and get your book, get ready to do that. Mom and Dad are not going to be far away because they're going to have to help. There's multiple Torahs, there's prayer books and microphones to hold while that is being done. We're also going to call upon Aunt Elise Kaminsky and friend Kalanelli Baruch to stand by the ark in preparation for its opening. Go ahead and stand up there. As I mentioned, there are 3 Sifrei Torah today. 3 of them. One for the Torah portion, the Parsha, which is all about Joseph. Second, because it's Rosh Chodesh, the new month. The third, Hanukkah. All right, so page 195. Zachary, go for it.
Ein kamocha be'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein k'ma'asecha, malchutecha malchut olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yosleim v'yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Arachamim eitiva v'tzoncha v'tzion, Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, Ki lecha levarachanu, melech el
We rise now as the ark is open.
Vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai, ve'afutzu oivecha, ve'anusu mesanecha mipanecha, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, u'devar Adonai miYerushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael, b'kedushato. Ve'anarachet, ve'lishme kadisha, kadisha yakira, anayemar tushbechan, ye'era ava kodama, de'tivta lavim ve'oraita, ve'tashti mishalim de'libi, ve'livadecho amach Yisrael, le'tavo lechaim, ve'lishlam. Amen.
So step up here. Walker, step up here as well. And as you are handed the Sifrei Torah from Gavai and your teacher, he's going to stay with that one. There's still another one for you. Put your hands down. And you are carrying the weight of the Jewish tradition, and you're feeling it, I know. It's called the weight or the yoke of the commandments, but it's lightened ever so slightly by the joy in observing these commandments. So go ahead and hold the prayer book with the Shema for Zachary as he's going to do that.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai
Jehovah Shammai, Uvah Haaretz, Jehovah Shammai, Yes, we don't do the full hakafah yet with the walking around there, everyone kissing and touching, and it's too much at this point. All right, so we're going to take a moment to take out the other book that's in front of you, this one, the Eitz Chaim Chumash, to follow the Torah reading along. And we're going to be on page 265. The Torah portion is called Miketz, but in our conservative synagogue here, we read from what's called the triennial cycle, which means we read a third of each portion each year. This year we're doing all the thirds. We are in the midst of the Joseph story, and we are right at the point where Joseph is framing his youngest brother Benjamin with the silver goblet in order to see how his brothers, who had once thrown him into a pit, are going to react if they've changed. There's a lot of emotion in this scene, a lot of sibling angst that you shall find. It's 43:16 through 18. Haven't quite found it yet? Okay, that's all right. We will get there shortly. And in a moment, we're going to call upon the grandparents. Should have been right there, but that was right beginning from Minion. So we're going to call upon grandfather Marvin Judenfreund to read the Torah, but also do the Aliyah with grandmother Sheila Judenfreund. Baruch Hashem, you're both here today, and well to celebrate with your grandchildren. So both of you come on up. I have an extra one here.
Sorry, and yes, yeah, the Chosim Boven Amar. Amen. Akol Habagot Eloheinu Tnu Kavod LaTorah. Yamod Meir Ben Chaim Baruchel HaKohen. Oh, Meir Natan. Meir Natan. Meir. Meir Natan. Meir Chaim. Meir Natan Ben. Okay. Start over. Akol Habagot Eloheinu Tnu Kavod LaTorah Kohen Korav. Yamod Meir Natan Ben Chaim Baruchel HaKohen. Meir Natan Ben Chaim HaKohen Ushlamit Bat Ruven V'Ruchel Baruch Shenatan Torah Lemo Yisrael B'Kedushato V'Atem Hadekim B'Adonai Elohechem Chaim Kulchem Hayom.
Verses 16 through 18.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Adonai Baruch Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chabon mikol ha'olam natan et Torah Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Haru anashim Yosef ita Benyamin Vayomer Yasher Abeto Havei et Anashim Habayta Utroach Tevach Achei Ki iti Yochu Anashim B'Tzahayim Yas ha'ish Kasher Ma Yosef Velo ha'ish et Anashim Beita Yosef Eru Anashim Kihuvu Bet Yosef Yomru Advar HaKesef Chasham Hashem Achamotehem B'chiva Yanachu Muva'im Yikalel Aleinu Yitparel Aleinu Lekachat Otanu V'Havadim Lietkomoreinu Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chonai b'ruhat emet b'chayei olam v'tapetchen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Torah.
Amen. Thank you, Marvin. Second Aliyah, verses 19 through 25. Presentation of gifts to Joseph. Explanation of why the money was doubled. We call upon member of our congregation, Ann Levine, to read the Torah, and Tara Yudenbroin for the Aliyah.
Talmud, Penita Bat Meyer, V'Shlomit, Lichod Shneim, Lichod Hasheni.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chabonu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. Vayikshu el ha'ish asher al beit Yosef Vayidabru elav et habayit Ve'omru bi Adoni Yarod yaradnu V'chila lishmor ochel Vahi kivanu el hamalon V'niftacha et am tachotenu Ve'hinei chesef ish Befi am tachto kaspenu V'mishkalo V'nashev oto be'yadenu V'chesef acher Oradnu be'yadenu lishbor ochel Lo yadanu Nisam kaspenu Ve'am tachotenu Vayomer shalom lachem El tira'u Al tira'u Al Elohechem Nohei avichem Natan lachem Matmon Ve'am tachotechem Kasvechem ba'elai Vayotze alehem et Shimon Vayaveh ha'ish et hanashim beita Yosef Vayiten mayim vayirchatzu raglehem
וייתן מספר לחמוריהם, ויפילו את המנחה, את המנחה, עד בוא יוסף בצהריים, כי שמעו, כי שם יודו לכם.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yashua. Third Aliyah, verses 26 through 29. Joseph asks the brothers, "How is your father?" Which is, of course, his father. You might think they would know something's up. It's a little suspicious, but it's very out of context. We were discussing this at Torah study. They're not expecting their long-lost brother who they threw into a pit, who looks very different now, looks like an Egyptian, is in Egypt and is in charge. That's just not what they're expecting. So they do not suspect that anything is up. And if you were here today and you saw someone from your childhood that you had no idea that they knew the Sparks family, and they were wearing a mask, right? You wouldn't recognize them. It's the same idea here. It's out of context. That's why he doesn't suspect anything. We call upon teacher of our B'nai Mitzvah, Jacqueline Halchik, to read the Torah, and good friend Julie Katz for the Aliyah. Verses 26 through 29.
Ta'amod Yehudit bar Elisheva lichod shlishi.
Baruch et Adonai. Oh yeah, sorry. It's a little exuberant in the spirit of Zachary. Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. Vayavo Yosef habayita, vayavi'u lo et hamincha asher bi'adam habayita, vayishachavu lo arza. Vayish'al lahem l'shalom, vayomer ha'shalom. Avichem hazaken asher amartem ha'odanu chai. Vayomeru shalom la'avadecha la'avinu odanu chai. Vayikedu vayishachavu vayisat einav. Vayar et Benyamin achiv benimo vayomer hazeh achichem hakaton asher martem elai vayomer Elohim yochnecha beni.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yashua. Chapter 43, verses 30 through 34. Joseph has to leave the room. He can no longer hold it together because nichmeru rachamav. He's overcome with compassion for his brothers. And then the meal is served. We call upon mother of the B'nai Mitzvah, Rebecca Sparks, to read the Torah, and good family friends Sam and Batya James for the Aliyah. And tell Larry and Elizabeth we say hi and we miss them.
So sweet, thank you.
Yamdu Shmuel ben Aharon, v'Batya bat Mordechai lichvod v'vi'i.
Baruch Adonai Borach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Borach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'achavanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayimaher Yosef, ki nechmeru rachamav elachim, vayivakesh likfog, vayavo hachedra, vayechshama, vayirchatz panav, vayitzei, vayitapak, vayomer simu lachem, vayasimu lo, b'tzimnei lachem, Levado, Lechelahem, Levadam, Bela Mitrim, Ochli Mitra, Levadam, Ki Lo Yuchlun, HaMitrim, Le'echol, Et HaIvrim Lechem, Ki Yorba, Hi, LeMitzrayim, Vayashivu Lefanav, Habchor, Kichorata, Ve'atzir, Kitzirato, Ve'itmehu Anashim, Ish El Re'ehu, Ve'yasim, Vayisa Masat, Me'pana, Alehem, Vaterem, Masa Binyamin, Mimasot Kulam, Chamesh Yadov, Vayishtu ve'yishkeru imo.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah temet v'chayei olam notam b'tufaynu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. We're on page 268 now, chapter 44, verses 1 through 6. The silver cup is placed in Benjamin's bag. We call upon Aunt Tara to read the Torah, and commemorating Yortzeit on Parents' Day is Rick Ginsburg.
Yamod Reuben ben Mobel Lifot Chamishi.
Amen. Oh, sorry.
Baruch et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'achar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. Vayetza et asher al beito le'mor malei et amtachot ha'anashim ochel ka'asher yuchlun se'et v'sim kesef ish v'fi amtachto v'yekevi'i kivia ha'kesef Tasim befi amtachat hakatan ve'et kesef shivro v'ayas kidvar Yosef asher diber aboker or v'anashim shochu hema v'chomareihem hem yatzu et ha'ir lo hirchiku v'yosef amar la'asher beto kum redov acharei hanashim v'hitzaktam yamarta alehem lama shilamtem ra'ah tachat tova halo zeh Asher yished oni bo vehu הראותם אשר עשיתם ויסכם וידבר עליהם הדברים האלה.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam atah b'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yashikor. The fifth Aliyah, verses 7 through 17. Now there's the deal that if there are stolen goods found in the bags, whoever it's found in their possession will have to be a slave, and negotiations happen over that. And for the sixth Torah reader, we call upon our bat mitzvah, Sophia's books, and for the Aliyah, Mom Rebecca.
Ta'amod Rivka bat Mayur Shlomit Lichlod Shishi.
Baruch Hu Adonai HaBarak.
Baruch Adonai HaBarak Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBarak Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. V'amru elav lama yedaber Adoni kadvarim ha'ela chalila la'avadecha me'asot kadavar hazeh hein kesef asher matzanu b'fi amtechotenu hashivanu elecha me'eretz na'an ve'ech nignu min bei adonecha kesef ozahar asher imatzei ito me'avadecha amit v'gam anachnu niyeh ladoni la'avadim v'ayomer gam ata chadivrechem kenhu asher imatzei ito yeli aved v'atem tiyu nekim Vaymaharu, vayuridu, ish eram tachto, artsa, vayptechu, ish am tachto, vaychapes, vagadol hechel, uvakaton, ula, vaymatzei, hagavia, ve'am tawachat, binyamin, vayikru, simutam, Vayamos ish al-chomorot, vayashuvu ha'ira. Vayavo Yehuda v'echad, v'ita Yosef v'hu odenu sham, v'yiblu lefanav arza. Vayomer lahem Yosef, mahama'aseh hazeh asher hasitem. Halo yaratem, kinachesh, ish asher kamoni. Vayomer Yehuda, manamar, vadamir, manedaber, umanasadav, ha'elohim, matzah, et avon avadecha, hinenu avadim, vadamir, gam anachnu, Gam asher nimtza hagavia beyado vayomer chalil ali me'asot zot ha'ish asher nimtza hagavia beyado hu yeli aved v'atem alu l'shalom
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, achei olam natav etochenu, baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Yeshua. Please rise as we're going to lift and dress the first Torah. We call upon friends Jonathan and Anna Lipschutz for the first Hanukkah and Galila.
Yamod, Amalbiya, Tamod, Galilet.
Vezod HaTorah asher sam Moshe b'fnei Yisrael Adonai Yad Moshe Eitz Hayim V'tomchem Merushar Eitz Hayim L'machazikim Ba V'tomchem Merushar Okay, we may be seated, and we are now going to jump all the way to page 930 something. I'll tell you in just a second. It's Numbers 28, verses 9 through 15. So you find it on page 930, in fact, and it is the additional offerings brought when the new month, Rosh Chodesh, coincides with Shabbat. I want to point out this particular yad, as today is the yortzeit for Leslie Kessler, and Randy, his son, is here to commemorate it. And I remember going to the Kessler's house in their definitely old age, and his mom and dad were like, "You must have this yad for the synagogue," which they got in Morocco. And it's a very ornate yad, and there's actually a piece in here where you would put incense or other spices. And so it's wonderfully fitting that we get to read it today in honor of your dad, Randy. So for this, we're going to call up Zachary to read the Torah, but we're going to formally call our bat mitzvah, Sophia, for the Aliyah. Tamod, Tamod, Tamod. Bacharat bat mitzvah, Chaya Rachel bat Rivka, Shvi'i Chazak.
Oh. I'm sorry, that's what we decided.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamburah.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamburah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ubyom HaShabbat, Shnei Chevasim b'nei Shana, Tmimin, Ushnei Esromim. Solet Mincha, Belulav HaShemen v'Nizkor. Olat Shabbat v'Shabbato, Alolat HaTamid v'Nizkar. Uroshei Chodshechem, Takrivu Olam Adonai, Parim b'nei Bakar, Shnayim v'Ayil Echad, כבשים בני שנה 7 תמימים ב13 עשרונים צולת מנחה בלולב השמן לפר האחד ו12 עשרונים צולת מנחה בלולב השמן לעיל האחד ויסרון יסרון צולת מנחה בלולב השמן לכבש האחד עולה ריח ניחוח ישראל אדוני ונזכם חצי ההין יהיה לפר ושלישית ההין לעיל ורביעית ההין לכבש יין זאת עולת חודש בחודשו לחודשי השנה וזריזים אחד לחטאת אדוני על עולת התמיד יעשה ונזכור. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam atah b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yashkara. We rise once again, and this time we're going to put this Torah on the table over here. And Chatzi Kaddish. No, not yet. Sorry. Chatzi Kaddish will be recited now. Yes.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbi Yamad yivchach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayei yomei rod u'chayei lecho bein Yisrael v'agala v'agala u'lizman kavivim elu Amen. Shabbat, Yivar, Yidromam, Yidnaseh, Yidhadar, Yidalev, Yidhalal, Shmei Kudeshah, Leila, Min Kol Berchata V'Shirata, Tushbechata V'Nechemata, Damim Avilah, V'Yimeru, Amen.
Remain standing for the Hanukkah Galil, the second Torah. We call upon friends Shelley and Marty Zedek.
Yamod Hamadbia Tamod Hagalelet.
Push it. Don't worry about that. Push it rather than push it there. Mizot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe Lifnei Yisrael Adonai B'yad Moshe Torah, 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 Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe Torah, 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 Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe Torah, 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 Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe Torah, 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 Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe. And we're now going to turn to page 808. 808. We go to Numbers chapter 7, verses 42 through 47. And we're in Parshat Naso, where they're describing the dedication of the sanctuary, the portable one in the wilderness, Mishkan. Hanukkah being the rededication of the temple. That one goes down here. Or, no, there's one. Yeah. Either way, you only have this 3 Torah like once every 5 or 6 years, so.
Some people do go by.
Yeah, sure. So that'll work. And now we can be seated. So anyway, that's this is the 6th day of the dedication, and being the 6th day of Hanukkah, that's why we have this particular passage, which happens to be the offerings of the tribe of Gad, the Gadites, and The leader of that is Eliasaph ben Duel, son of Duel. And so we're going to call Zachary formally as the Aliyah and also as the Torah reader. Now you may be wondering, hey, wait a second, that's not fair. Sophia only got to read from one Torah, and Zachary got to read from two. But they're roughly the same number of words total that we learned. Because Will and Rebecca have obviously become expert at how to divide things up fairly. Yamod, 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 Bachar bar mitzvah, Zachar Yosef ben Rivka, Maftir Chazak.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamborah. Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah. Amen. Amen. B'yom hashishi nasi livnei Gad Eliasaph ben Duel Korbano kara kesef achad shloshim u'me'at mishkala mizrak achad kesef shavi'im shekel v'shekel hakodesh shnehem mele'im solet v'lulav hashemen lamincha kaf achad asara zahav v'la'ah ketoret for achad ben bakar ayil echad keves echad ben shinato le'olah zirizim echad lechatat ulzebach hashlamim bakar shnayim ilim chamisha etudin chamisha kevasim l'neshana chamisha zeh korban Eliasaph ben Duel. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah temet v'chayei olam natan betocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Yasher Koach. Covered that up. And I will take this part. For all who read a blessing, Mishrech Avtin Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, Sarah Korach Avodah, Rui Masher Alu Hayom Likvod HaMakom Likvod HaTorah V'Likvod HaShabbat V'Likvod HaRosh Chodesh V'Likvod Hanukkah HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yirechotam Et Mishpachotam V'Yitach V'Hatzacha V'Chum Aseidim Kol Shalachem V'Nomar Amen. And for those who are ill, we're thinking especially today of Scott Lawrence, Dalia Bat Razel, Barbara Rose, Lou Burl, Ilya Oak, Karina Golabat, Hadav Yehuda Tzvi, Levi Bat Shena, Shafle Doben Shimon Moshe, Ray Ramshaw, Albert Alter, Rosie German, Yechiel Ben Eliza, Shulamit Bat Leah, Miriam Bat Yehudit, Adele Mendelson, Marina Gottschalk, Carmel Korea Bat Ariel Sarah, Jeff Wade, Jackie Cohen, Yehudit Bat Miriam Be'aharon, Lana Nachman, David Gubman, Elizabeth Raphael Ben Esther, Moshe Ben Ruvain, Leo and Dot Richard, Rose Melanson. If any of their names of those who are ill, just please go ahead and say them out loud this time.
Katya Yudi.
Yishvevach Avoteinu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah V'Yorech v'Yorech et Ahonim El Na Refana El Na Refana Lahem El Na Refana El Na Refana Yishvevach Avoteinu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel bless and heal all those who are sick, and may we continue to be with them in their time of need. We rise once again for the third Hanukkah at Galila. We call upon friends Ed and Phyllis Miller.
Yamod Magbia Tamod Agolelet.
Bezot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe B'nei Yisrael Adonai B'yad Moshe Yisrael Gurot Yisrael Otani Imneh B'nei Yakum Agibor Goel Ha'am Shema Moshiach Ufoneh, U'yameinu Kol Am Yisrael, Yitach Imakum Yehigael, Mi'alel Kurot Adonai Otani Imneh, Ein Mechador Yakum Hagibor Goel Ha'am. That will remain standing while that Torah is being put on the stand. All right. We can be seated, Yasher Koach. And we're now going to turn to the special Haftorah for Hanukkah, which is on page 1270. 1270. It comes from Zechariah, and will be read by both Zachary and Sophia. It's a really good one. It's a really famous one. The connection to Hanukkah is there's a Hanukkah or a menorah described in this Haftorah, the vision of Zechariah, in a newly dedicated temple back in Jerusalem after they have now come back from exile. It's very famous for the ending, which is Lo v'chayil v'lo v'koach, not by might, not by power, but by God's Spirit, or as the Debbie Friedman song says, but by Spirit alone, ruach. But this is the actual text. It comes from God's Spirit. And then chen chen la, how beautiful it is. But that's not actually the end today, because it's also Rosh Chodesh. They're going to add a line from Rosh Chodesh. They're going to be doing the blessings together. Who starts? Zachary starts. Sophia, they're coming up together. Sophia finishes. Blessings are together. When they are finished with the final blessing, we're going to stand at our seats and we're going to sing Simon Tov and Mazel Tov and clap and to the rhythm of the song, enjoying the spirit of this beautiful day and this beautiful B'nai Mitzvah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratzah hadibrayhem hanamarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'Moshe abdo u'Yisrael amo u'b'nviei ha'emet b'tzedek. Rani v'simchi b'tzion ki hineni ba v'shachanti v'tochech neum Adonai v'nirvu goim rabim el Adonai b'yom hahu v'hayu li le'am v'shachanti v'tochech v'yadat Adonai tzavot shalachani elayech V'nachal Adonai et Yehuda tzadko al admat hakodesh u'bachar od b'Yerushalayim has kol hasar mifnei Adonai ki ne'or mim'on kodsho v'yor'eni et Yehoshua hakohen hagadol
עומד לפני מלאך אדוני והשטן עומד על ימינו לשטנו ויאמר אדוני אל השטן היגר אדוני בך השטן ויגר אדוני בך הבוחר בירושלים הלא זה אוד מוצל מאש ויהושע היה לבוש בגדים צהובים ויאמר לפני המלאך ויען ויאמר אל העומדים לפניו לאמור הסירו הבגדים הצהובים מעליו ויאמר אליו ראה העברתי מעליך עוונך והפה שלך מחלצות ויאמר השימו צניף טהור על ראשו והשימו הצניף הטהור על ראשו ויבישו בגדים המלאך אדוני עומד ולאך אדוני ויבישו לאמור כה אמר אדוני צבאות אם בדרכי תלך ואם את משמרתי תשמור וגם אתה תדין את ביתי וגם תשמור את חצרי ונתתי לך מלכים בית העומדים האלה שמענה יהושע הכהן הגדול אתה ורעך היושבים לפניך כי אנשי מופת המה כי אני מביא את עבדי צמח כי הנה האבן אשר נתתי לפני יהושע על אבן אחת 7 עיניים הנני מפתח פיתוחה נאום אדוני צבאות ומשתי את עוון הארץ ההיא ביום אחד ביום ההוא נאום אדוני צבאות תקראו איש ליראהו אל תחת גפן ואל תחת עיניו וישב המלאך הדובר בי ויראני כי איש אשר יעוד משנתו ויאמר אלי מה אתה רואה ואמר ראיתי והנה מנורת זהב כולה ועולה על ראשה ושבעה נרותיה עליה 7 מוצקות לנרות אשר על ראשה ו2 זיתים עליה 1 ממין הגולה ואחד על שמאלה ואען ואומר על המלאך הדובר בי לאמור מה אלה אדוני ויען המלאך הדובר בי ואומר אלי הלא ידעת מה המה אלה ואמר לו אדוני ואען ואומר אלי לאמור זה דבר אדוני אל זרובבל למישור לא בחיל ולא בכוח כי אם ברכי אמר אדוני צבאות מעתה הר הגדול לפני זרובבל למישור ויוצאים את עוון הרשע ישועו חן לה כי אמר אדוני השמיים כיסי והארץ הדום רגלי איזה בית אשר תבנה לי ואיזה מקום מנוחתי והיה מדי חודש בחודשו ומדי שבת בשבתו Yavo, Kol Bashar, Lishachavo Lifnei, Amar Adonai. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, Tzor kol ha'olamim, Tzadik b'chol hadorot, Ha'el ha'ne'eman, Ha'omer ve'osed, Hamdaber u'mkayem, Kol devarav emet b'tzedek. Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu, V'ne'emanit devarecha, V'daver echad midarecha, Achod lo yashuv rekam. Ki Melech Ne'eman, V'rachaman Ata, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaNe'eman, V'chol Devarav. Amen. Rachem al Tzion, Ki Beit Chayenu, V'la'u V'lechesh Toshia, V'nhera Be'amenu. Baruch Atah Adonai, V'sameach Tzion V'baneha. Amen. Samchenu Adonai Eloheinu, V'elianu Hanavi Abdecha, Malchut Beit David Meshichecha, V'mehera Yavo V'yagel Libenu, Al Kiso lo yeshev zar, V'lo yinchalu et acharim et kevodo, Ki b'Shem kodshecha nishbata lo, Shelo yichben ero le'olam ba'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen David. Amen. Al HaTorah ve'al Havodah ve'al Hanim, V'ayom HaShabbat hazeh, Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, L'kedusha v'le'menucha, Lechavod u'tifaret. Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu, Anahu modim la, U'baruchim otah, Yitbarach shimcha, B'fi chaychai tamid le'olam ba'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, V'kadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Yes, go. Take our round Siddur back out for some of the additional prayers, beginning with the prayer for our country, and for that we call upon Father of the B'nai Mitzvah, Will Sparks. Yes, page 223.
This is a prayer for our country. Our God and God of our ancestors, we ask you to bless our country, its government, its leaders, its citizens, and its land. We offer a prayer of gratitude for the precious gift of living in a land blessed with sublime physical beauty, individual freedom, economic abundance, and a rich, magnificent history. We offer a prayer of thanksgiving for those who came before us, for those whose words, decisions, and sacrifices created a strong and vibrant nation. We acknowledge that there are those in our country who are suffering as well. We offer a prayer of hope for those whose cups are empty, for those whose freedoms have been curtailed, and for those who have not been able to share fully in all our country's blessings. We offer a prayer of support to the leaders of our government, understanding that leading a nation with such diversity and freedom is a difficult and daunting task. We offer a prayer of action to the citizens of our nation that we may understand our obligation to be involved in making our country a better place for all who live here. Our God and God of our ancestors, bless our country, our government, our leaders, our fellow citizens, and our land. And let us say, Amen.
Yasher Koach. Nice mini improvs there. I like them a lot, actually. In all seriousness. Page 224, Prayer for the State of Israel. We call upon Grandmother Sheila Judenfreund.
Avinu Shabbat Shavayim, sorry.
Tzor Yisrael v'go'alo, v'rechem v'hinat Yisrael, Reshit hinchat geulatenu, hagen aleha v'evrat chasdecha, ufros aleha sukat shlomecha, ushlach chorcha v'yamitka l'rashea, Sarea v'yotzea v'taknem v'etzah tova v'ilfanecha, Hazek et idei b'nei eretz kodshenu, v'han kilem Eloheinu Yeshua, v'ater b'tzachon teatrem, v'natat shalom ba'aretz, v'simchat olam v'yashbeach, v'omar, Amen. And Sheila, we're just so glad that you're here. So, right? And we call upon Zachary and Sophia's other grandmother, Margaret Sparks, for prayer for peace, pages 225 and 226.
Thank you for this opportunity on this magnificent day to read this poem, which is right up my alley. May it be your will before you, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors, to abolish wars and the spilling of blood from this world, and continue great peace and miracles in this world, so that nation will not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they study war anymore, so that they will come to recognize and know, all who dwell on earth, the singular truth that we have not come into this world for dispute and conflict, nor for hatred, jealousy, provocation, or bloodshed. We have come to this world only to know you, to bless you eternally. Therefore you will have compassion upon us and fulfill for us that which is written in Scripture. I will bring peace to the land, and you will lie down, and there will be no terror. And I will remove evil beasts from your land, and destruction will not cross into your land. Let justice flow like water, righteousness like a mighty stream. Let the earth be filled with the knowledge, Adonai, like the waters fill the sea. And let us say,
Amen. Yasher Koach. 8th graders, up for Ashrei, page 231, Kita Het, I guess we will. You are, and we've got a class starting in late January, so be on the lookout for information.
Ashrei, Ashrei Beitecha, Odi Hanukkah Selah. Tehillah leDavid, Aramimcha Elohai HaMelech, Baruch Shimcha le'olam va'ed. Gadol Adonai u'melach me'od, V'li gdulato ein heker. Hadar kevod hodecha, v'divrei midotecha asicha. Lecher aptucha yabiu, v'tzidkatecha yiranenu. Tov Adonai lakol, v'rachamam al kol ma'asav. Kevod malchutecha yomeru, u'gvuratecha yedaberu. Malchutecha מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. עיני כל אליך יסברו, ואתה נותן להם את אוכלם בעיתו. צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיר בכל מעשיו. רצון יראה יעשה, ואת שבתם ישמע ויושיע. תהילה אדוני ידבר פיו, יברך כל בשר שם קודשו ללמד. ואנחנו נברך יה, מעתה ועד עולם. Hallelujah.
That was a lot of koach. We rise now for the return of the Sefer Torah to the Ark. We call upon our Ark openers, which this time are friends Eva Katz and Ezra Goldfarb. Let's go ahead and stand up there in preparation for its opening. And Zachary and Sophia, you can come on up and carry the Sefer Torah. Marvin, I think you're going to carry one as well. But right now, just stand up here, so for Ms. Moore, right there at the lectern. Yalu et Shem Adonai, ki niskaf Shemo levato hodo eretz v'shamayim v'yaren keren li'amo yalecho asiyah livrei Yisrael amkrovo hallelujah. So once we're on Mizmor the David, I got to get you to the right page. It's on 235.
Mizmor LeDavid. Avu Adonai b'nei Avu Adonai kavod v'adov. Avu Adonai kevod shelo. Yishacharu Adonai v'hadrak kodesh. Kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavod yirim. Adonai al mayim rabim. Kol Adonai koach, Kol Adonai behadar. Kol Adonai shomer ha'orazim. Vayeshomer Adonai et arzei ha'lanon. Vayarpinem kemo egel Lebanon v'Sirion. Humo be'ivrenim. Kol Adonai posel ha'bokesh. Kol Adonai yachil midbar. Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh. Kol Adonai yechoel hayalot. Vayechesof ya'arot uv'hechavlo kulo me'er kavod. Adonai lamahu ya'ash vayesher Adonai melech le'olam. Adonai oz le'amo yitin. Adonai yevarech le'amo shalom. Ki lekavtov natati lachem, Torati al ta'azovu. Beit Chaim le'matozim le'tov me'at me'ushar le'raneon le'noam le'chol netivotecha shalom.
Zachary and Sophia will now give us the Devar Torah, the Drash, the interpretation, the sermon of the morning.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Chag Sameach. Happy Hanukkah. My Haftorah is from the book of Zechariah. And as you may have guessed, this Torah is about the prophet called Zechariah. Now, the name Zechariah happens to be my name, and it means God remembers in English. I'm very proud to be named Zechariah because the Jewish people couldn't have done what they did in this story without him. And of course, we're both pretty epic. Anyways, to start, the Jewish people were living in Judea, which is modern-day Israel. In Judea was the Holy Temple, a place where everyone worshipped. Surrounding Judea were other kingdoms. The kingdoms never stopped fighting during the time of the First Temple, and the problem was that the surrounding kingdoms were more powerful than Judea and were able to defeat the Judean army and destroy the Holy Temple. Once Judea was defeated, the Jewish people were exiled to Babylon. After many years, they could finally come back to Judea and were accompanied by the prophet Zechariah. God remembered the Jewish people and allowed them to return to Judea. On the way back, Zechariah has a vision of a menorah with 7 branches for the rebuilding of the temple. Each branch had a light. This light stood for the understanding, enlightenment, and comfort in God's words. And this vision wasn't just any vision. It was considered to be the most memorable vision of a menorah in all of Jewish literature, according to Moshe Sokolow, who was an important Jewish educator. When they got back to Judea, the Jewish people had to rebuild the temple. Building the temple took a lot of rededication. That's how Hanukkah got its name, because in Hebrew, Hanukkah means rededication. Zechariah kept having to encourage the Jewish people to complete the Holy Temple because the Jewish people were scared that the surrounding kingdoms would conquer them again. In Zechariah 2:14-17, it says, "The presence of the Eternal will once again make Jerusalem its dwelling place." This means that the presence of God will return to Jerusalem once the temple is complete again. And while it took a lot of people to get it done, they considered the rebuilding itself to be a miracle. Now let's talk more about miracles, because Hanukkah is the season of miracles. First and foremost, I'm going to be honest, it's a miracle that I've made it this far into my speech. I've also experienced such other miracles, such as being a whopping 2 minutes older than my sister. Despite the fact that everyone says that Sophia looks and acts older, I will still take the title. Miracles can be big or small. An example of a big miracle happened on Hanukkah, when the 1-day supply of oil to light the menorah lasted for 8 whole days. Another miracle is that my sister and I know someone that we like to call Swiss Grandma. My Swiss grandma is 107 years old. A year ago, Swiss grandma tested positive for COVID-19. Swiss grandma walked through it with a smile on her face like it was nothing. A smaller miracle is when a basketball player from Charlotte, North Carolina, turned into the best point guard in NBA history. That player's name is Steph Curry. Over the last nearly 2 years, we have experienced the opposite of a miracle in COVID-19. Before COVID, we could give hugs to our friends, wear no masks, and we never even thought about school at home. If someone had said the word Zoom a few years ago, I would have thought of a fast car or the evil speedster from the Flash TV series. Over this time, I have also experienced many miracles. An example is just having a great school that handled COVID very well, thanks to a lot of rededication. There's that word Hanukkah again. I have a great house to live in, and I have the best family in the whole world. Throughout this time, I have also really seen the importance of modern science, because if it weren't for that, then we wouldn't even have the vaccine yet. Modern technology has also been super important, because without it, we wouldn't have been able to have any school during COVID, and I wouldn't have been able to build some great relationships with my friends over video games. Now I will tell you about the Remember Us B'nai Mitzvah project, in which we remember a child who tragically died during the Holocaust. Today, I will be remembering Alexander Ginsburg. Alexander was born in Riga, Latvia. His father's name was Kalman, and his mother's name was Sarah. Alexander died in the Shoah on December 7, 1941. He was 3 years old. And now, I would love for you all to reflect on some miracles that you've experienced in your own lives, because we are really experiencing your own lives, and really think about the importance of them. I think that we should all remember and appreciate miracles, because we are so lucky to have them. And lastly, I have many big thank yous to give. To start, I'd like to thank my mom and my dad for organizing this B'nai Mitzvah and for also being the best parents ever. I'd like to say thank you to my nanny for helping me a lot with this speech, and my Zaida for teaching me my Haftorah and helping me a lot in my Jewish education. And Grandmama, I would also love to thank you for always being there for me. I'd like to say thank you to Jacqueline for teaching me my Torah portions, and Rabbi Bloom for giving me tons of advice for my Drush and my B'nai Mitzvah. I'd also like to thank all of my friends for taking a lot of the stress off of me when preparing for this day. And of course, I would love to thank my twin sister, Sophia, for being an awesome partner during this B'nai Mitzvah, and for being a great twin sister. Finally, I would love to thank everyone who showed up today and for being here and supporting me. Thank you.
I have chosen this song to do that connects to my Josh. If you know it, please sing it. Not by might, not by power, by spirit alone, shall we all live peace. The children sing, children dream, and the sheep may all dream. Another song will rise. Another song will rise, another song will rise. Not by might and not by power, by spirit alone, shall we all live in peace. Not by might, not by power, shalom. Okay. Not by might, not by power, but by God's Spirit alone, shall we all live in peace. I have decided to talk about this phrase from Haftorah Zechariah and what the idea of it is because of how meaningful it is to me. Many often think that it takes strength and power to do something, and don't realize that inner strength, or spirit, can accomplish that and more in many cases. In the Haftorah, the prophet Zechariah has a vision, and hears an angel speaking to him. He hears the angel say, "Not by might, not by power, but by God's Spirit alone." He passes his message along to the Jewish people traveling back to Judea from being exiled in Babylon. These people are very scared of taking this long journey because they think that their neighbors are going to attack and maybe kill them. But Zechariah tells them that he heard the message from God saying that there will be no fighting and that God will be with them during the whole journey. Not only does he tell the people, he tells Zerubbabel, the governor of Judea, this message, and convinces him there should be no worrying about peace in the nation. Because of God's message. Before they were exiled, their precious temple, along with their entire kingdom, was destroyed. When they got back to Judea, there was nothing. No buildings, no sense of home, no anything. But the thing they mourned the most was their holy temple. They thought that there was no possible way to rebuild it. But then they thought of the message that Zechariah had told them. Not by might, not by power, but by spirit. The Jews came together and rebuilt their temple. The Haftarah ends with the words Chen Chen La, which means beautiful, beautiful. But how did we get there? Not by might and not by power. This meaningful message can also be found in today's Torah portion. In Parashat Miketz, Joseph's family goes to Egypt to bring food back because of famine in Canaan. Joseph, being the prime minister of Egypt, recognizes his brothers. Joseph had been away from his family for 20 years, so his family didn't recognize him. What Joseph could have done is have them arrested or even killed if he wanted. Since he was the prime minister, he had all this power in his hands, but he decided not to use it. He instead sets up an elaborate test with a silver goblet. This then comes back to the phrase in the Haftarah. Joseph could have easily used his power against them, but he decided to use his brain, his creativity, and spirit, and that is exactly what God said to do. Not by might, not by power is also something we find in our own lives, and especially mine. As some of you may know, I have a twin brother named Zachary. And boy, having a twin is sure an experience. We can sometimes get into little fights and arguments, which my parents can definitely attest to. Arguing is something we do a fair amount of, and in this instance is where today's message plays in. When we're arguing, throwing words back at each other, sometimes throwing limbs back at each other, that's using might and power to try and resolve something. But in reality, that's not going to get us anywhere. In fact, it will definitely make things worse. Using words is so important in our daily lives, and when I'm arguing with Zachary, it is something that I struggle with at times and something that I'm trying to improve. If I'm frustrated about something, I sometimes just want to punch my wall or slam my door shut. Remembering not by might and not by power can help me. Learning this is something we should all do and can help create community. If anyone here is really angry at someone or something, or even at themselves, take a breath and think about today's message. Not by might, not by power, but by spirit alone. Before I say my thank yous, on behalf of the Remember Us Project, I would like to remember Sonia Gill from Belarus, who perished in the Shoah at the age of 6. Now that I've become a bat mitzvah, I hope to keep learning the valuable lessons of the Jewish people as I get older. There are so many people I would love to thank for helping me through this journey. I want to thank my Zaida for teaching me my Haftarah and being there when I need help. He has taught me so much about being Jewish ever since I can remember, and I genuinely don't know where I'd be without him. I want to thank my nanny for helping me with my Haftarah and so many other things, or helping me with my drash and so many. A special thanks to my grandma for her lessons, love, and cooking. Thanks to my mom and dad for the important things they have done for me. They mean so much. A thank you to Jacqueline, Rabbi Bloom, and all of my Hebrew school teachers for preparing me for this day. Oh right, I want to thank Zachary for being the best twin brother ever and doing this with me. Finally, I want to thank you all for coming and sharing this day with me. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.
So Zachary, come back up here and join Sophia. And we call upon the president of the congregation, David Goodwin, to, I know this very well, came out that way. And he has 2 bags.
Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. And congratulations to the both of you. Both of you read beautifully. And I really enjoyed both of your drashes. I was sitting at the back at ushering, and I couldn't hear that well because I got all the freeway noise coming in from the door. So I actually really wanted to hear what you were saying, and I walked down to the side so I could listen. And I'm trying to think what you guys will be when you grow up, and I can't help but think, Zachary, that you'll be a historian. Because you seem to like history. And Sophia, maybe you'll be you'll be a musician and write songs. But who knows? Anyway, many congratulations. On behalf of the Board of Directors of Temple Beth Abraham, the women of TBA and the Men's Club, we have 2 bags of gifts for you, which, thanks to the pandemic, I don't get to take out and hand to you. And we thank you so much for all of the work you put into this bar and bat mitzvah and mazel tov.
I wonder if I think we could find another set of boy-girl blonde twins in the congregation. Oh my goodness! Zachary and Calvin! How did you get here?
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Calvin.
And I'm Zach.
And we're here on behalf of Open BBT.
And Joel and today, the 2 BYU students here based in the East Bay.
We have meetings every Wednesday night in the Baum Center, and events on Saturday nights. They're a lot of fun, and it's a great way to stay in touch with your Jewish friends throughout high school, as well as meet other Jewish teenagers in the greater Bay Area and even the country. And we would love to have you join us. So we present you with these dreidels.
All right, Yasher, go on. Those are some great role models for you, actually. Both great kids, leaders in our youth group, the both of them. All right. Happy Hanukkah, I want to give a gift to you. Light up the night, my love shine through. From Mount Zion, what we do, bring love to you. Celebration, get your hands up high, get your hands up high. Do you know who that song is by? Okay. So it's an artist named Matisyahu. And I have great memories of Matisyahu that involve your family, as your mom provided my boys and me backstage passage and front row seats at the Hangtown Festival. I don't know what year it was, but my kids were just about, or my older one was just about your age. And it was an unbelievable experience. And I want to talk just briefly, besides that it's a really pleasant memory of your family and that I'm really thankful and still grateful for. It's one of the best experiences of my kids growing up. I want to talk briefly about power and hands, which you both talked about, especially you, Sophia, you talked about power and hands. So first of all, in both the Torah portion and in the Haftorah portion, you see God's power versus human power. And it's constantly going back and forth as to whose hands the power is actually in. So the hands are used for celebration in the song, and I want to celebrate you. We all want to celebrate you today for the beautiful way that you daven, the really smart, erudite teachings that you gave to us. When your school unfortunately closed, and one of the few benefits from it was that we got to have you two and your good friend Eva back in our religious school, and you seamlessly fit in and help contribute to the culture of that class and all the friends and the volume that you saw on display in Ashrei today. But we also see, now a little bit away from you, we see Joseph's struggle in the Torah portion, in the story with his brothers. His struggle with power, and even his hands. And he has to learn how to use it for good. And he's really going back and forth in that. And the part we read today is right in the middle of that struggle. Of course, in the Haftarah, we see that we can't really reach the Promised Land or rededicate a temple without God's Spirit or the power. Not by human might, not by human power, but by God's Spirit. But with a combination of God's help and using our own powers for good, you can see what can be accomplished with our own use of power, even with our hands. So like especially, let's say, for Zachary, you might watch Stephen Curry and the magic that he literally creates with his hands. The stuff that he can do, the way he uses that basketball, shooting it like no one else in the history of basketball. You can see that magic that he creates with his hands. Sophia, of course, you can also still see the Zachary too, but you can see the beauty that someone like Sierra Hull creates on the mandolin. She's the world's best female mandolin player. I guess arguably, but from everything I can tell, the best. You can see beauty created really with the hands. Now, you've always been very likable people. You're running from the time you were running around our preschool. Zachary, your energy is unbelievable and wonderful. And to use a word that has already been used by your dad, but I shouldn't use anyway, but I will, is infectious. And it sometimes infected the class, mostly for good. But it was a lot of fun having you in here, really. And we enjoyed having your presence and that energy. And Sophia, your quiet determination, you're being cool without really even trying. Just, that's part of who you are. And so, as you enter your teenage years, my friends, unlike Zoom, but like the Flash, use your powers for good and not for evil. Or, as Matisyahu said, young man or young people, the power's in your hands. Slam your fist on the table and make your demand. Occasionally you're going to have to use that power to make change. Slam your fist on the table and make your demand. You better make the right move. Youth is the engine of the world. That's from another Matisyahu song. So we begin and end with that, but I'm really going to end with asking you to follow me up on the bima, where we do the priestly blessing, and as we remember that it is all in your hands, the power of yourselves and the future of the Jewish people. Please rise. Yivarech Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ye'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God lift the divine face toward you in great peace. Amen. All right, we remain standing and we turn to page 239, where Sophia is going to lead us in our Musaf service as we are nearing the end of the service.
Yikadal v'yikadal shemei rabba.
Amen.
Ve'amal dibrav v'yotevem lech malchuteh.
V'chayeh kol yomecha u'chayetecho beit Yisrael. Agala u'bizman karev.
V'yimeru.
Amen. Yehei shmei rabba nevorach. Ve'olam le'omaya yitvarach.
Yitparach v'yishtavach v'yipar v'yishma mitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yidalel v'yidalal shmei kedusha.
Brevu.
Le'elam l'kor b'chata b'shirata.
U'shechata v'nechemata damiram b'yalma.
V'yimeru.
Amen.
Adonai tzedakah u'v'yai tehilatecha. Baruch atah
Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah
El Gadol HaGibor VeHaNorah
El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Vekoneh Hakol V'zocher Hasei Avot U'mehi Koelim B'nehem L'man Shelo V'Ahava
Melech Uzer Moshiach
Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ufokei Tzara Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei Metim Atara Le'Moshiach Mashiv Aruvah U'Mori HaGashem
Mechakel Chayim
B'Chesed Mechayei Metim B'Rachamim Somech Noflim B'Rofech Olim U'Matir Asurim U'Mekayem Matov L'Shenei Afar V'Chamok Al Gerurot U'Midom Elah Melech Me'nit U'Mechayeh U'Matzmiach Yeshua
V'ne'eman atah l'chayom eti. Baruch
Amen. We continue silently. In this case, because it's Rosh Chodesh, it's on 287, and then follow the little instructions where it says to return to page 251 when that part's done. It's also just a good time for your own private meditation and prayer. Page 259, Kadish Shaleh.
Ikadal Veikadal Shemei Rabbah. Namali Brakir Tendam Lakmakote, Vachayachon Vachon Kayed Yechoba Yisrael. Agol Yisman Karibim Meru. Shemei Rabbah. Leolam Moyamaya. Yipara. Yiprak Vishmak, Yipar Vishahavi Naseh, Vitadar Vitalo, Vitalo Shmei Kurasha. Le'elam Yukabachata Vishir Taju. Come on,
Keep it coming. Come on out, Ed. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ein Eloheinu, Ein Kadoneinu, Ein Kemoheinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Ein Eloheinu, Ein Kadoneinu, Ein Kemoheinu, Ein Kemoshienu. Don't Eloheinu, don't Eloheinu, don't Eloheinu, don't Eloheinu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shekiru, Avoteinu, All right, please rise to the Aleinu.
Aleinu Shabbat Ladon Machol, Latein Kedula Leotzeh Breshi, Shalom Asanu Kyrie Raso, Velo Samanu Mishpachot Adama, Shalom Sam Kakeinu Kahem, Negor Aleinu Behol Hamoram, Amru Korim, Umishtahavim Uvodim, Lishnei Melech, Malkei Amavim, Lakadosh Baruch, Sheru Notei Shamayim Ve'yosef Haaretz, Ve'oshem Yikro B'Shamayim Yima'al, Ushli Natuzo, Ishli Natuzo, Ve'go Ve'neronim, U'Eloheinu Eloheinu, Erechokeinu Zepesuato, Kagatu V'Torato, V'Yadatayon V'Shachata, Elecha Lecha, V'Yanayu Elohim, B'Shamayim Yima'al, Ve'al Haaretz, Ve'al Haaretz, V'Yitachat Eloheinu.
Tu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch ve'olam ha'ed
V'nehem bar v'chaya Adonai, melech al kol haaretz, v'yom ha'u, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, u'shemo, u'shemo
We may be seated as we lovingly recall the memory of our departed relatives and friends as yortzites we observe during the coming week, thinking especially today of Yitzchak Antebi, Abraham Berkovich, after whom this congregation is named, Samuel Bernstein, Mark S. Bloom, my grandfather after whom I am named, David Friedman, Mendel Friedman, Jacob Friedman, Morris Gelfand, William Eager, Blanche Jacobs, Jacob Kerbel, Leslie Kessler, Sidel Pillman, Norman Kleinman, Jacob Cronron, Bessie Kvint, Morris Levitt, Robert Lopez, William Malakoff, Shirley Silverman Margolin, David Mayer, Ethel Mayer, Benjamin Millman, Alfred Month, Raymond Nagar, Davey Ormsby, Harold Reed, Israel Rogers, Alice Rosenstein, David Rosenstein, Gerald Schoenblum, Fanny Shapiro, Sam Silver, Mel Silverman, Robert Searle, Joseph Spiegel, Shirley Weiner, Elliot Weinstein, Frida Zilverberg. We're in the Shloshim for Molly Hertz, Sid Horowitz, Marie Lorenz, and Martin Rosenthal, and we are in the Shiva for Michael Rappaport, the father of Jamie Rappaport Berry. The memories of all who are with us, we ask all those who are in mourning or observing York Sederson, anyone else who would choose to do so, to rise for the mourner's Kaddish. It's on page 267. All others can remain seated. Yid Gadal, the Yid Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, Ve'alma Divrach Herutei, Ve'amlim Malchutei, Ve'chayekon, Ve'yomechon, Ve'yedechon, Beit Yisrael, Bagalah, Vizman Kariv, V'ibru, Amen. Yehesh Shemei Rabbah, Nevorach, Le'olam, Amen, Omaya, Yitbarach, V'ishtabach, V'ipahar, V'ipramam, V'ipnaseh, V'itadar, V'itale, V'italal, Shemei Kudsha, L'Rehu, La'ela, V'kol Berchata, V'shirata, Tushbechata, V'nechemata, Damiran, V'elma, V'ibru, Amen. Yehesh Shlama Rabba, V'shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'ibru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, V'broma, Uyaseh Shalom, Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'ibru, Amen. Tikvanam Lebracha. May the memory of the people you've come to say Kaddish will be a blessing to you always. And let us say Amen. Amen. All right, so a couple of announcements. The main announcement is, what do we do after the closing song? So after the closing song, you stay here for just a minute, and we're going to do Kiddush and Motzi up here on the bima. There's a washing station downstairs if you want to do a more formal hamotzi. But we're going to do that here, so you can go immediately down to the social hall, get a plate, servers will serve you the food, leave your masks on, then when you go outside, you can sit at the tables or on the fake grass on the ground, picnic style, and then, of course, you can take your masks off and eat. So stay here for the Kiddush before we go downstairs. We have just kind of our regular stuff happening this week. We've got Minyan Monday and Thursday at 8 in here. We've got Torah study. We do have a special presentation by the women of TBA, the launch of Faith Kramer's cookbook, 52 Shabbats. It's already getting some great reviews. Pretty exciting. And so that is on Thursday. Women of TBA, sponsored, 7 p.m. in the social hall. And also, tomorrow, there's a Hanukkah program at 2 in the courtyard with Isaac Zones and Trio singing Hanukkah songs. There'll be food and crafts. It's mostly aimed at the younger set. Also, our Blebiers, that's some of our religious school or just post-religious school kids, will be performing at the Piedmont Community Hall at 10 a.m. And there's like a fair there too with crafts. You can get tickets at the door. So that's pretty much enough for now. This is already the longest service of the year with the 3 Torahs. So Zachary and Sophia, come on up and lead us in the Rocky Jewish tune, Hallelu Avdei Adonai, on page 271, brought to us by Cantor Richard Kaplan of blessed memory. 271, and you got to start slow and low. Oh, you're having other people help you or no?
Wait, whoever wants to come up to do Hallelujah can come up.
So if any of the classmates want to come up and help them, come on up. And remember, class, slow and low to begin with, because it raises both its speed and its key as it goes on. 271.
Hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai. Hallelujah, Adir, Adirim, Adirum, Kulal Adonai. Hallelujah, 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 Avdei Adonai. Hallelujah, Baruch, Baruchim, Baruchum, Kulal Adonai. Hallelujah,
Sophia, Zachary, come on up. Please rise for Kiddush. Beshamru ben Israel, Hashavat, Masol ben Hashavat, Ben Israel, Oti le'olam, Oti le'olam. Beshamru ben Israel, Hashavat, Masol. Sarai Shamayim Be'et Haaretz Beshamru B'nei Yisrael Hashavat Masol Hashavat Be'ot HaBerith V'yamachi Shabbat V'yinafah Shabbat V'yinafash Beshamru B'nei Yisrael Hashavat Masol You can. Share that. A big thank you to Josh Mailman for sending this out over YouTube and arranging all our streaming. Yasher Koach to Josh. And Amotzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Amotzi lehem min haaretz. Amen. Enjoy this beautiful